Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She did it over eggs. Don't wait up tonight, Jenna tossed out, not looking up from her phone. I'm going to Maya's. We'll see how late it runs. Don't text. It's clingy. I set down the spatula. Clingy? Asking what time my wife's coming home is clingy now. She rolled her eyes at the toaster. Mark, don't start. It's a girl's thing. You'll be fine. I usually am, I answered, sliding eggs onto her plate. What I'm not fine with is the memo that I'm furniture. See? She smirked, stabbed a yolk. This is why I don't tell you stuff. You make it a thing. If I'd known where that casual little comment was headed, I would have tightened my seat belt. I still went to work like always. I run a small crew that maintains HVAC systems for a hospital and a couple of schools around town. It's not glamorous, but nobody calls me clingy when I show up at 3 a.m. and make a classroom bearable by 7. I like the logic: diagnose, fix, test, move on. People respect results. At home, the rules had started to blur. That night, she didn't come home until after midnight. She didn't text. She gave me a pat on the shoulder as she passed the couch. So you lived? She announced, not stopping. Barely, I replied. What a saga. You're so dramatic. I'm an HVAC guy. My version of drama is a broken blower fan. She shut the bedroom door. I'd been married 8 years, and we'd had our seasons, good and bad. I believed in doing the work. Divorce, in my book, was a fire extinguisher behind glass. Break only if the house is actually burning. I'd never been a doormat. I just preferred to fix things before tossing them. Next morning, I poured coffee and waited. She came in, hair in a bun, phone already in hand. Before you ask, Jenna announced, tonight is yoga. Don't text. You're consistent, I noted. I'll give you that. Same rule each day, new excuse. You want me to stop having a life? I want a calendar on the fridge and 5 minutes of respect. Oh, respect. Here we go. Jenna, I said, leaning on the counter. Simple. If you're late, you text. If you're changing plans, you loop me in. You don't treat me like the power bill. Or what? I let that hang there, because the truth is, I hadn't decided yet. I tended to choose actions that held, not threats that bounced. Or I update how I plan my week, I said. Starting with tonight. She gave me a small laugh, like I'd told a corny joke. The kind you give a kid who promises to run away. Then she walked out. I didn't chase her. I set a rule for myself. If I got silence and smirks, I would reorganize my time and access. That was the first initiative. Not because I was mad. Because math. Friday we were supposed to go to Linda's backyard birthday, neighbors we'd known for years. Linda's husband, Mike, is the kind of guy who loans you a ladder and brings over a six-pack you didn't ask for. Jenna loved those parties because she could hold court. I moved the time block in my head and decided to attend alone if Jenna kept treating me like a roommate. At 5, she texted nothing. At 6, I left. When I turned into Linda's driveway, string lights were already on, kids were chalking the pavement, and the usual crew was scattered around the fire pit. Linda waved me over like I'd saved her from a boring story. Where's Jenna? She asked as I handed her a card. Yoga, I said. Or the next thing, I forget. She said not to text. Linda's eyebrows did a little dance. Oof. Yeah, I agreed. Mike clapped my back. Come eat before the burgers run out. I settled into the deck chair. 10 minutes later, Maya showed up, Jenna's friend, the one I was supposed to avoid texting by proxy. She floated over with a glass and a bright smile. Mark, she sang. I thought you guys were coming together. She took a detour, I said. Don't be salty, Maya chided. Girls' time is sacred. Got it. I'll light a candle. She scoffed and drifted to the makeshift photo corner. I felt eyes on me. Neighbor eyes, friend eyes. Nobody said anything. People rarely do when a marriage shifts in public. They log it. Half an hour later, Jenna arrived. She didn't look at me first. She looked around to see who saw her. Her dress was deliberate, like she'd dressed for an audience and not a spouse. She air-kissed Linda, hugged 3 other women, then came to me last. No burger for me, she told Mike over my shoulder. I'm keeping it light. You're late, I mentioned. You're needy, she countered. I gave her a thin smile. Good to see you too. We stood with a little circle of couples. Linda asked Jenna about yoga. Jenna described it like a revelation. Then she pivoted across my line. You should try it, Mark, she chirped, looking at my stomach like she was measuring it. It would help your rigidity. Thanks, I said, sipping water. Rigid is how cranes don't tip over. Cranes? She laughed. You always have to make everything mechanical. Occupational hazard. Maya leaned in. He's very literal, she informed the group. But Jenna balances him out. Balance is key, Jenna echoed, resting her elbow on the back of my chair like I was furniture. Especially when one of you is stuck in routines. I looked at Linda, then at Mike. They both caught the moment and looked down. That's when I shifted the night. I stood and set my cup on the table. Linda, I said, loud enough to land softly but clearly, happy birthday. Thank you for the invite. Mike, that ladder is going back tomorrow morning, tightened and cleaned. Jenna, my car's by the mailbox. I'm headed out. You catch a ride with Maya. Jenna blinked. What? I changed my plan. I smiled at Linda again. Great party. Then I walked. No drama. No extra words. That was the second initiative and the first public boundary. I would not stand there and be propped on like a houseplant. She came home late, as expected. I was in bed, a book open. That was childish, Jenna declared, standing in the doorway like a principal. Leaving a party where I was being used as a prop? That's adult. You embarrassed me. You worked hard on that yourself. She folded her arms. So now you're punishing me? I'm setting a condition. You treat me with respect in public, or I withdraw from your act. If I'm invited as your husband, I'm treated as your husband. You're overreacting. Or you're testing. Either way, new rule. If you plan something that involves both of us, you confirm the time and we arrive together. No more separate entrances and cute digs for laughs. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Fine, she muttered. Whatever. 2 days later, the first illusion hit. She got up early, made pancakes. She never cooked breakfast, and put her phone face down for the entire meal. I was out of line at Linda's, she said. You were right. I'm just stressed. I hear you, I answered. I want us to be good. Then we act good. Tonight, she added, let's do a movie. Your pick. Okay. She held my hand during the credits. It was soft, almost like we'd stepped back into the last decent year. I let the ropes slacken an inch. But the next day, without any prompt, she was late again and didn't text. When she came in, she tossed her keys and checked her phone before she looked at me. So that movie was nice, she said lightly. We should do that again sometime. Sure, I said. Same rules apply. Can you not make everything a rule? Clarity isn't control. It's a light switch. She snorted and went to the bedroom. At work, my lead tech, Nate, angled his chair toward mine at lunch. You look like a guy who's been living in a wind tunnel, he observed. You know how people move chairs around you while you're trying to work? I said, it's that, but in a marriage. Threatened to move the breaker. I already did. Now I'm dividing circuits. Meaning? I'm splitting accounts, I told him. Groceries and utilities from a joint card. The rest, my work money, my savings, goes into my individual account. No drama. Just a change. Nate nodded slowly. That'll get noticed. Good, I said. It's supposed to. That was the third initiative. Money is a circuit of respect. You don't keep paying a bill that sneers at you. I told Jenna that night at dinner. Spaghetti, quiet house, the TV low in the other room. I moved most of my paycheck into my account, I explained. The joint card is funded for groceries, utilities, and the mortgage. That's it. Her fork clinked. Excuse me. You heard me. You're cutting me off? I'm upgrading to labeled switches. You have access for household essentials. If you want extras, plan them. Wow, she breathed, then laughed like a challenge. This is controlling. No, it's boundaries. You don't want to coordinate evenings. You lose the shared perks of coordination, like free-range spending. We live like teammates. The budget reflects teamwork. You're punishing me because I have a life. I'm deciding how I fuel the house I carry on my back. She stared, then tilted her head. Are you okay? I'm very okay. She pushed her plate away. You won't keep this up. Watch me. 2 days of cold followed. She wore her headphones around me and treated the kitchen like a co-working space. Then the second soft turn, she came to my job site. I was in the basement of the hospital, checking a control panel. I heard her voice down the hall and looked up. She'd never visited me at work. She carried a bag of takeout. Your receptionist was rude, she announced, stepping into the concrete room like she was visiting a movie set. We don't have a receptionist, I replied, flipping a breaker. Whatever. I brought you lunch. I wiped my hands and came over. Thanks. She handed me the bag, then smoothed my shirt with her palm like she was doing me a favor. I miss us, she said. I know I've been distant. I'll do better. That would be good. I said I'll do better, she repeated slower. I heard you. She looked around the bare room, the industrial shelves, the coils of wire. This place is depressing, she added. You should put up a picture. Something cheerful. I'm good with gray walls and clear rules. She laughed a little. Right? Okay. She was overly affectionate that night, almost performative. She slid in close on the couch, asked about my day, laughed at things that weren't jokes. I let it wash over me and didn't chase it when it evaporated again by morning. 2 weeks later, I met Claire. It wasn't a plan. I wasn't out hunting for anything. I stopped at a coffee place near the elementary school after finishing a furnace check. I was thumbing through invoices when a woman in a navy dress and sensible flats asked if the chair at my table was taken. Go ahead, I told her. She settled in with a folder and a to-go cup. After a minute, she nodded toward my work order forms. You work with the school district? Maintenance, I said. We keep the rooms breathable. I'm a counselor at Brookside, she said. I've seen enough kids in winter coats indoors to appreciate what you do. Mark, I introduced myself. Claire. We ended up talking about practical things. Kids who learn better at 68 degrees instead of 62. The way parents drag themselves to meetings after second shifts. The stubbornness of old buildings. She listened the way adults listen when they respect your lane. No agenda. No side jabs. When I stood to leave, she surprised me. This is forward, she said carefully, but I like how you think. If you ever want to grab lunch where we're not shouting over the espresso machine, I'd say yes. I must have smiled. You're direct. I work with teenagers, she shot back. If I waited for subtlety, I'd starve. I told her I was married. I didn't hide it or dress it up. She didn't flinch. Understood, she answered. Offer stands for talking about boilers. Boilers are my love language. Then we're doomed, she said, and laughed. We did have lunch, once, in the park across from the school. We talked about heating curves and families, and the funny way people underestimate quiet men. It wasn't charged, it was clean. But it was also the first time in months I felt seen without earning it. I kept that lunch to myself. Not as a secret. As a measure. I was still trying to keep a house standing. Filing for the exit is the easy part. Building the exit is harder. I wanted to know that if I left, it wasn't because I was running toward flattery. It would be because I respected myself. Back home, Jenna's tactics escalated. She started making jokes about money when friends were around. Little digs about me hoarding pennies. At Linda's next cookout, she pointed at my toolbox in the truck and quipped to Dave, our neighbor across the street. That's where his heart is. Next to the socket set. Dave raised his palms. I'm not in this, man. I kept my voice light. Hearts wherever respect is. Tools just help carry it. Jenna laughed too loud. He's auditioning for a speech. Sure, I shrugged. Might get a call back if the room isn't full of hecklers. Maya chirped, don't be sensitive, Mark. We're just joking. I turned to the group. Jokes punch up or sideways. Never down. If we're punching down, I'll see you when you remember the difference. I set my plate in the trash and left. The air shifted when I went. People feel it when a man who normally holds his ground decides not to play. That was on foreign territory, and I wanted it that way. That night, Jenna stomped in after midnight. You've gotten arrogant, she accused, flicking on the lamp. Confidence looks like arrogance to people who benefit from your doubt, I replied, eyes on my book. She let out a small, angry laugh. You're such a quote machine lately. Quotes are just words to you until someone backs them with actions. What actions, Mark? You threatening to leave? No. I'm planning my time around people who respect it. When you're on that list, you'll know. She stared at me like she was calculating angles. A week later, Claire texted. It was a simple message about a school HVAC rumor. I told her the truth, and we ended up talking about nothing for 30 minutes. Jenna was in the living room, and I wasn't hiding. I was near the kitchen counter, answering a few texts, then setting the phone down. No secrecy, just boundaries. I started spending my Saturdays differently. Early gym, grocery run, then a long walk at the nature preserve I'd ignored for years. Sometimes Claire joined for the walk. We talked about her dad's old shop and how she learned to sand wood before she learned to drive. She had a dry wit that didn't scrape, it polished. The next week, the cold turned to provocation. Jenna started dressing like she was headed for a magazine shoot to go to book club. She'd linger at the mirror, catch my eye, and wait. Say something, she prodded. You look nice. That's it. That's what you asked for. She tried a new track, scheduling a dinner with Dave and his wife, then forgetting to tell me the time changed, so I arrived late and she could act annoyed. We started without you, she announced when I walked in. You changed the time, I replied. You should have checked. I looked at Dave. From now on, if there's a time change, text me directly. No relays. Dave nodded. Will do. Jenna faked a surprised laugh. Why are you being so formal? Because informal has turned into disrespectful. We're going back to meeting notes level until the culture improves. Dave's wife, Alana, shot me a quick look that said she got it. Not sided with me, just got it. People notice when a man decides to run his life like a business again. That night, Jenna attempted a grand reset. Candles, music, a perfect dinner. She wore the dress I used to compliment. She poured my drink and moved like a host who wanted a 5-star review. I want to start over, she announced. I miss how easy we were. We were never easy, I replied. We were decent because we tried. I'm trying now. For how long? She frowned. Do you want me to try or not? I want patterns, I said. Not spurts. She leaned in. Mark, look at me. I am. No jokes, she said. Let's call a truce. Truce implies 2 armies. I'm not at war. I'm building a structure I can live in. She stared, then put her hand on my arm. I'll text when I'm late. I'll stop the jabs. I'll be better with the budget. Can we not be weird for once? We can be honest, I said, which means I'm not canceling my Saturday plans. She recoiled like I'd pulled the rug from under the script. With who? She asked. Her tone sharpened, not curious, probing. With myself, I answered. Plus or minus a friend. What friend? A person who respects my time. Is it a woman? It's a human. You don't get access to specifics after weeks of telling me to stop being clingy. That's rich, she snorted. So you're seeing someone. I'm building a life that doesn't revolve around getting ignored. She tried to pin me with a look. I didn't blink. 2 Saturdays later, we had a district maintenance meeting at the high school. I ran into Claire in the hallway on my way out. Jenna, who decided last minute to swing by with coffee, walked in at the same time. The air changed like weather. Mark, Claire greeted, warm but professional. Thanks for clarifying the boiler cycle last week. Anytime, I replied. Jenna's smile tightened. Hi, I'm his wife. Claire, she offered unfazed. Counselor, we've chatted about vents. Vents, Jenna echoed. Must be thrilling. Warm classrooms help kids learn, Claire said. But I'm biased toward breathable air. Jenna studied her, then me. We were just leaving. No, I answered calmly, handing Claire a sheet I'd printed. I need to give this to the head custodian first. I'll meet you outside. Jenna's eyes flashed. Now. I'm working, I told her. Work comes first here. Claire excused herself with a small nod. Nate, hovering near the gym door, whistled under his breath. You're bold, he murmured when Jenna pivoted away. No, I said. I'm consistent. Jenna waited by the truck, arms crossed. That woman likes you. She respects me, I corrected. Big difference. You're crossing lines. I'm enforcing them. She climbed into the passenger seat and slammed the door. I started the engine and drove like it was any other errand. That was another public boundary. I would not be summoned away from my work, not even for a scene. The next week, she escalated to demands. We're going to Maya's for a party Friday, she declared, dropping a flyer on the counter. Dress decent. Don't bring your lecture series. I've got a night job Friday, I replied. You can reschedule. No, you never used to be this stubborn. I never used to be this disrespected. She leaned in. You show up, or we have a problem. We already do. I didn't go Friday. I didn't text explanations. Saturday morning, I was up early and gone. I spent the morning at the preserve, walked a trail with Claire, then hit a hardware store to buy lumber for a shelf project I'd been putting off. When I returned, Jenna was waiting like a checkpoint. Where were you? She demanded. Hiking. Then lumber. With who? People who enjoy fresh air and straight cuts. You think you're funny. I think you like the answers you don't get to cross-examine. She stared at the lumber like it had offended her. So you're just going to build things and pretend everything's fine. No pretending, I answered. Building is honest. That evening she tried one more soft push. She came into the garage where I was measuring a board. "Want help?" she asked, almost gentle. "Sure," I said, handing her the end of the tape measure. We didn't talk much. She passed screws. I drilled. She brought me a glass of water without rolling her eyes about sawdust. I recognized the move for what it was, an attempt to be indispensable for a night. I didn't mind, but I didn't mark it as change either. Sunday morning she planted a new flag. "I'm taking the car," she announced, grabbing keys to my truck instead of her crossover. "I need it," I replied. "I'm going to Dave's to help fix his fence." "Take mine. I need the truck bed." She dangled the keys out of reach like she was teasing a dog. "Say please." I looked at her hand. "No." She held it there 2 more seconds, then flung me the keys like a game she'd lost. "Don't be late," she snapped. "We have dinner with my parents." "You scheduled that without asking. You love my parents." "I respect your parents." "That's different. Her parents are decent people. They also don't need to watch their daughter try to click a leash." I texted her mother and moved the dinner to next week due to a work call. Then I told Jenna I'd done it. "You don't get to do that," she barked. "I just did. We're not presenting a fake unity for an audience. Not until we have it." She stared like I'd spoken another language. Then she turned away, muttering. Noise without meaning. Monday happened. Tuesday happened. Wednesday, the break came. She left early that morning in gym clothes. No goodbye, no note. I spent the day on a long hospital job, came home, showered, cooked a simple dinner, ate alone. 10 p.m., 11, midnight. My phone stayed face down on the counter. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't wringing hands I don't wring. I watched a baseball game, did some invoices, and finished the shelf. At 12:47 a.m., the door opened. She walked in like she was coming home from a normal day. "Big day?" I asked, voice even. She dropped her bag. "Don't start." "Where were you?" "Out." "Where?" "Why do you need a detailed log?" she challenged, lips curling. "If you don't like it, find yourself a new wife who sits home on command." I stood, calm. That line was the cliff, and she leapt with a smirk. "Okay," I said. She blinked. "Okay, what?" I already did. I kept my expression flat. "Pack a bag. Actually, pack all of them. You've got an hour." She laughed, sharp and panicked. "Stop. That's not funny." "I'm not joking," I told her. "I'm done with the games, the provokes, the way you talk to me like I'm a piece of furniture. This is my house. I pay for it. I've kept it warm, paid every bill, and carried us. That ends tonight. You're going to leave, and you're not going to slam anything on the way out." "You can't be serious." "I am." "You're acting insane," she hissed. "You think you can just throw me out? I'm telling you the rules of my life. You forgot I'm your husband. You forgot what I provide. So let me refresh you. I provide for myself first. You have an hour." She stared, mouth open, but no words came. She tried for indignation, found only air. Then her shoulders dropped. "Mark," she said, voice breaking into something weak. "Wait. I messed up. I know. I've been off. I can fix this. I will. Don't do this." "You had months," I replied. "I gave you all of them." "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm really, really sorry. I got in my head. I forgot what matters. I see it now." "Too late," I said. "Clock's running." She stopped arguing. She walked to the bedroom and started pulling clothes from drawers. She cried and muttered apologies to the closet. I didn't engage. I got a box from the garage for her bathroom stuff. I set it by the door. She flinched when she saw it, like cardboard could bite. "Please," she tried again, meeting my eyes for the first time without sarcasm. "We can fix it. I'll go to counseling. I'll be home on time. I'll text. You'll do all of that with yourself," I said. "I'm not interested in a salvage job when the foundation's contempt." She packed. She put on a jacket she didn't need. She looked around the living room like she was searching for a reason to stay that wasn't there. Then she picked up the last bag. "Where am I supposed to go?" she asked, small. "Wherever your new independence wants to sleep." "That's cruel," she whispered. "No," I said. "It's accurate." She stood there one more second, like she wanted to rewind the tape. Then she walked out. The door clicked. I didn't lock it behind her. I didn't need to. That version of her didn't live here anymore. I sat on the couch. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't elated. I was clean. Then I did the thing men pretend they don't do. I called the person who'd understand. "Hey," Claire answered, voice soft. "It's late. You okay? I'm good, I said. I just escorted a storm out of my house. What do you need? Company. If you have it. I'll be there, she said. 15 minutes. She arrived with a bag of groceries like she planned a dawn picnic. She stepped in, took one look at the doorway, and read the room without me saying a word. You did it, she said. I ended a game I never agreed to play. She didn't jump up and down. She didn't scold me for waiting. She set eggs and bread on the counter and pulled a pan from the cabinet like she'd lived here long enough to know where they were. She made toast. I brewed coffee. We stood shoulder to shoulder and didn't fill the space with explanations. I'm happy for you, she said finally. I'm trying not to show it too much because it feels wrong to celebrate a collapse. But I'm happy. I figured, I replied. And for the record, you didn't cause anything. You showed me a mirror. That's all. I know, she said. We ate at the counter like a couple of stoics at a diner. When we were done, she rinsed her plate, dried it, and put it away. I can stay, she offered. Or I can go and let you sleep. Stay, I said. Not because I need a witness. Because I like the way the house sounds when you're in it. She smiled, small and real. Then I'll stay. By morning, I'd moved Jenna's remaining boxes to the garage. I texted her a simple list for pickup times and the rule that I'd be home only during one of them. No fights, no negotiations. She replied with a stream of messages, apologies, blame, pivots, accusations, offers to try again. I answered once. The plan is the plan. Thursday at 5 p.m. She came Thursday with Maya. They avoided my eyes as they loaded the car. Maya gave me a look meant to say she was judging me. I gave her a look back that said I didn't recognize her jurisdiction. Jenna tried once more at the end. Can we talk? She asked, hands on the last box. We just did, I answered. Not in front of her. Especially in front of her, I said. No more private rewrites. She started to cry again, the kind of crying that had solved problems for her since high school. It didn't move me. She wasn't crying for us. She was crying for the loss of her stage. Goodbye, Jenna, I said, opening the door wider. Take care of yourself. She went. Word travels. By the weekend, friends and neighbors had takes. Some sent texts that sounded like, I'm here if you need to talk, but really meant, tell me the gossip. I ignored most. I spoke to my mother on Sunday. You did what you had to, she said. I watched you try. That matters. It matters to me, I said. Claire and I kept seeing each other. It wasn't fireworks. It was a solid beam you can walk across. We cooked, we hiked, we fixed things. She brought me into her circle, a couple of colleagues, a brother who ran a landscaping crew, a neighbor named Rosa whose porch was an unofficial community center. They all spoke plain. Nobody used me as a prop. Jenna, predictably, adjusted the narrative in public. She told people she had left first. She told some she'd discovered I was talking to someone and used phrases like, I had to walk away from dishonesty. She painted scenes where she was the devoted wife and I was a restless man who'd grown bored with a good thing. I didn't go around correcting everyone. I told the truth to people who had earned it. My parents, my sister, Nate, the neighbors who weeded my lawn when I worked late, Jenna's parents, who deserved to know what had happened in their daughter's house. Her father listened and nodded once, like he'd suspected. Her mother squeezed my hand and didn't say, I'm sorry, she said, I understand. Those words felt like a chair pulled out for a tired man. A year isn't a lot of time, and it's also a lifetime. Claire and I got married in a small ceremony at a park she loved. Nate stood next to me, scowling like a bodyguard but grinning like a brother. Dave and Alana came. Linda cried a little. And Rosa brought a casserole with enough leftovers to feed us through the honeymoon. We sold the old house and bought a place across town with a stand of oaks and a detached garage big enough for a proper workbench. The first night in the new place, Claire set 2 mugs on the counter and said, This feels like a house that will tell the truth. It will, I answered. We will. As for Jenna, I don't track her. I heard through the grapevine she cycled through apartments and stories. Some of those stories contradicted each other. That wasn't my business. What mattered was the fact that I kept my word to myself. I tried until trying turned into a joke. Then I stopped being part of the joke. People ask for a moral when a marriage ends. I don't have one. I have procedures. You set expectations. You hold them. You act when they're ignored. You don't reward public disrespect. You withdraw access when access is misused. You don't explain the same rule twice. You leave clean. If I had advice, it would be this. Fix what can be fixed, but don't spend your life tightening bolts on a machine that was designed to grind you down. Walk away while your hands are still your own, and leave the keys on a hook where the next version of you can find them. My last words to Jenna in that old living room were the right ones, the ones I earned by not yelling and not caving. This house runs on respect. Without it, the heat's off. You chose cold. I'm choosing warm. Goodbye. She heard me. The door closed. And my life, finally, started running on a system that made sense. Thanks for watching. How about a like and a subscribe? I'd really appreciate your support